thank you for staying engaged right now, not sticking your head in the sand during this really sort of dark time in our country, and standing up and being a voice and getting out there and organizing and protesting and all the things that I know you all have done. I thank you as just fellow American citizen, okay? I just want to start out with that because it's a lot. Believe me, I've had friends that have just said, I'm checked out. You haven't, and I appreciate that. And also thank you tonight for inviting me here and allowing me to come down here because I'm not back home with my kids. And I know you're laughing, you're like, what? I'm sticking them with my husband tonight. And I've got 2 boys and a girl. My 2 boys are 13 and 11, and my youngest is 9. And my 11-year-old broke his arm last week. And so I've been doing a lot of doctor's visits and x-rays, and my teenager, my 13-year-old, has come down with flu. So my husband is hanging out with them. And that's unfortunate, right? But it reminded me of why I'm doing this. Because there's a lot of parents around Kentucky who probably their kids broke their arm or fractured something or got the flu and they can't afford medical care. I mean, that's happening. That's happening here in America and here in Kentucky. So when I think about why I'm doing what I'm doing right now, that's it. It's healthcare. It's still it. Okay? You know people are hurting around this state. You know that healthcare is broken. I was just talking to a nurse in North Kentucky, where I live up north, whose premium, Affordable Care Act premium, Connect, went from $400 a month to $1,400 a month. She can't afford that. She works full-time registered nurse. She can't afford that. Talking to a woman in Woodford County, a family in Woodford County who's a teacher, full-time teacher, been a teacher her whole life, worked her whole life full-time. In between jobs and got one as a teacher's aide, and when she was on the job, she had a stroke, about 6 years old. And she's trying to rehabilitate from the stroke. And no rehabilitation center will take her. Why? Because she doesn't have insurance. She's one of those people that fell through the gaps in between employment, going from one to the other. Just at the wrong time, had a stroke. It wasn't her fault. She didn't fail. She's paid her taxes her whole life. She's worked her full-time job her whole life. She's got adult children she raised. They can't quit their jobs to care for her right now. She needs rehabilitation. She can't get it. This is happening. The system failed her. And of course, all around Kentucky, we see prices are up of everything. Groceries, you name it. Energy, and people are hurting, okay? And what's happening right now and why this is so important in this race is so important and winnable is because these guys who are in Washington right now, not only are they not doing anything about it, not only are they not focused on it, they're actually making things worse. What we're seeing from folks in Washington right now is not what Kentuckians voted for. And I'm not just talking about the people in this room, because we share the same values of caring about people and caring about, affordable living and caring about healthcare. But what we're seeing in Washington is not what Kentuckians voted for. Kentuckians did not vote for another tax in the form of tariffs. Kentuckians did not vote for 35 of our rural hospitals to close. I know no one in Kentucky that said, I'm really voting for these Republicans because I want those rural hospitals to close. Or I really love those tariffs. I don't might think, well, why run again? You know, I've done this before. I think we have right now, with this seat, a once-in-a-generation opportunity to fill this seat with somebody, a U.S. Senator that has our values, that will speak for everyday Kentuckians, that cares about health care, that wants to make things better, okay? That cares about affordable living and the cost of living and trying to help people. That's what is unique about this race in this midterm in 2026 right now is an open seat. That's an opportunity, folks. And so any nominee from this party, from the Democratic Party, if we are going to be successful in winning this seat in November, we have to have somebody that can not only talk to and speak to Democrats, all of us, but also independents and moderates. That's what we have to do in Kentucky to win this seat. It can be done. We have a Democratic governor who won in an off cycle. Very similar electorate to this midterm coming up. He did it by winning a broad coalition of Democrats, independents, and more moderates. And that's what we need, and we can do it, okay? If you were to ask me, why are you doing this again, and why you? I have always stood up and taken on tough missions. That's what I do, okay? I want my kids to live in a country where they can respect and believe in their leaders again. I want to fight for things like health care. It goes all the way back to my mom being a doctor here in Kentucky. It goes back to my father's fight when he battled cancer. And my mother, when I was in the military, had to stop being a physician and care for him full time. And I'll never forget coming home one day during this fight from the military on leave, and my mom in the room in the office hanging up the phone with almost tears in her eyes. And I'm like, Mom, what's going on? And she said, I've been on the phone for an hour with this insurance company. I'm a doctor. If I can't navigate this system, how does anybody navigate this system? All they want to do is deny care. All they want to do is say no. I know what Don needs. Don was my father. Donald, that's my dad. And they won't do it. And it was at that point where I was like, come on. That's what motivates me, folks. I care about things like health care. That's why I want to do this. All right? And the last thing I'll say about me in this race is I have run before. I ran for the 6th Congressional. I ran for U.S. Senate against Mitch McConnell. I have taken on the powerful. I took on Mitch McConnell, and I made him work here more than anyone else had ever done. Now, I was not successful, but I'll tell you what, we were successful in making him the minority leader that year. All right? Because we took our operation and we used that, even when Chuck Schumer said, forget it, hang it up. We used that operation and we helped those now senators in Georgia win. And that made him the minority leader. And it sucks for us in Kentucky because we still have Mitch McConnell. But I tell you what, I was damn proud of that. And so I'm somebody who's been able to take on the Washington interests, both in my party side and Democrat side, but also taken on the second most powerful man in the country. And I can do this. I can build a coalition of Democrats and moderates and independents to be able to win this seat in 2026 in a once-in-a-generation opportunity in an open seat. And the last thing I'll say, because a lot of people also ask me, okay, great, I understand the politics, but what are you for? What are you going to do in the Senate? All right. Number one, protect healthcare. Okay? And that means we're going to roll back these cuts that these Republicans did this past summer in that big, beautiful bullshit bill. Okay? We're gonna restore those cuts to Medicaid. That's protecting and saving our 35 rural hospitals here. Okay? We're going to restore the Affordable Care Act subsidies so that, the nurse that I told you about in Northern Kentucky can actually get health care again because now she can't afford it. Okay? And then we're not going to stop there. We're going to work to fix the system. Go back to what I told you about my father. We have got to fix this system. The insurance companies are out of control. And so many people cannot afford health care or just don't have it at all. Okay? And the ones that do are still fighting with insurance companies. So we got to fix that. Number two, end these stupid tariffs. They're dumb. They hurt everybody. All right? On day one, I will put a bill in that would end these things. We got to bring that power back to Congress to begin with. Okay? 3, we absolutely have to rein in ICE and DHS. This is insane what is happening in our country right now. We all know it. I was out there protesting in the ICE out rallies. People get it here. There's no place in our country where we should be landing Black Hawk helicopters on top of apartment buildings and pulling Americans and anyone out in zip ties. What are we doing? We're shooting moms in the face who just dropped off their kids from kindergarten? We were shooting nurses in the back 10 times? This is why I came out with a plan to rein in ICE, all right? And that means no more masked men on the streets, in unmarked vehicles, raiding our towns and homes. That means any federal law enforcement agency or any law enforcement agency has to respect the constitutional rights of Americans and anyone here in this country. First American rights, Second American Amendment rights, Fourth Amendment rights, 14, you name it, all of it. We've got to stop this. And I've called for the resignations of Kristi Noem and all of those leaders of these agencies that have absolutely run amok. And the last thing I'll say about this, because I know a little bit about this being an operator. I was in the military for many years, and I did dangerous things, operations. When you have a problem, when something bad happens, like shooting a woman in the face who's an American citizen for no reason, folks, you don't cover that up on TV. You don't blame her. You stop the operations. Stop them immediately. I've called for that from day one, and this is what has to happen. We have to get people in the Senate to be able to rein this institution back in. 100%. The last thing I want to tell you that I want to do, because this is really important for this group, and because I know you're engaged people and engaged voters, is we have to fix our democracy. And that means real structural reform. It means ending gerrymandering. It means getting out dark money. You all just heard or talked about Elon Musk dropping $10 million into this race. That's chump change for him. It will change the dynamic of the crime. $10 million? Oh yeah. And I don't know, I know what Logan says about not needing money. I'll tell you what, $10 million will change the difference. That will make a difference. We got to end that. Okay? So ending gerrymandering, ending dark money, term limits. I know that some people don't like them. We got to have them. Term limits on Congress and the Supreme Court. ending stock trading by members of Congress. Seriously, this is a no-brainer. You either want to be a member of Congress and represent the people, or you want to be a stockbroker. You want to do stocks? Fine, go to Wall Street. Don't go to Congress. It needs to go back to being a public service again. And those are just some of the structural changes that I would do. And lastly, we are going to have, it's going to be a long time, folks, before we fix the real damage that this administration is doing to our country. Okay? And it's going to require a new generation of leaders. Not just we need to clean house on the Republican side, we're going to need to clean house on the Democratic side too. And this is why I will never vote for somebody like Chuck Schumer to lead the United States Senate. Those days are over. We need new leadership. We need bold vision, to move forward. And it's going to take a while, it's going to take a lot of work. So I just wanted you to know that. And the last thing I'll end with, and then open it up for any questions, is again, thank you for what you're doing. A lot of people have talked about patriotism. You're the patriots. You're the people that aren't looking away. You're standing up. You're here tonight. You're doing what you need to do. And when it comes time for elections, many of you will work and be vocal, and that is patriotism right now. Just like your name, peaceful patriotism. That's what we got to have. And so I thank you for you and for what you're doing. And with that, I'll open it up. Any questions you have? What do you got? Am I running it? Cool, I'm running it. Go.
You said...
What's your name, sir?
I'm Daniel.
Okay.
Nice to meet you. You said that you want to rein in ICE.
Yeah.
How come are you not asking to, or advocating for abolishing ICE altogether?
I absolutely think we need to rein it in. What they're doing is absolutely crazy. But here's the thing. We also want to make sure that we know who's coming in our border. We also want to make sure that, we also need to make sure we got to have immigration enforcement. If people are here illegally and are committing crimes, we got to do something about it. Okay? But we can't do it this way. And it's not just people on the left that sees this. My neighbors see this, and they aren't even left. People know that what is happening right now is fundamentally wrong. Okay? And Kristi Noem and the leadership of this should absolutely be fired. Absolutely. And we should not be having shock troops who are play commandos on our streets. That's insane. It's like some third world country. And people get that. So we need to rein them in. And that's what I would say. Yes, sir.
Some people, like myself, believe that the private health insurance industry is a parasite that does not produce health care at all, but instead simply sucks money out of the system.
Yeah.
Are you willing, at least at the strategic time, maybe it's now, to support Medicare for all or single payer?
What is your first name, sir?
Phil.
Phil. I have said for many years that Medicare for all is, in a perfect world, that is where we need to go there. Okay, I've said that for many years. I want to focus on getting the health care to Kentuckians as quickly as humanly possible. So that I want Kay, that nurse, to be able to get health care, and I want Margaret, the teacher that I talked to, I want them to get care now. And so what do we do? Well, we do the things that I just said. We stop the bleeding. We restore the cuts, like I said. We restore the subsidies, the Affordable Care. And then we do more. What is that more? Well, we do things like have Medicare negotiate for drug prices. We do things like expand Medicare to make sure that it covers home health care. Home health care. People who are already the caregivers, giving that care. We should be covering that. We do things like a true public option. All right, so what is that? What does that mean? It means that you have a government plan, a government insurance plan that you can buy. Right now, we don't have a government insurance plan. we have all these private options, and there's no incentive for the private insurers to lower their prices or to cover more, because they don't have to compete with a public plan. I think what's doable quicker is a public option. It was written into the Affordable Care Act, it was taken out by Joe Lieberman, and it was the worst decision that anyone made that year, because it would have reined in those insurance companies. And if you don't like government, and there's a lot of people that don't like government and are afraid of government, fine, you can go buy your Blue Cross Blue Shield. But if you're okay with government, guess what? You can buy Uncle Sam. That's where I think we can go quicker. And over time, I would definitely be open to making sure we get more affordable and accessible health care for people, okay?
How do you keep it from being a public option, from being a repository for the sickest people, while the private insurance company makes money off healthy people?
Because healthy people would buy it too. I'm a military retiree. I have a public option. I buy health care, yeah. I buy health care for my family from Uncle Sam. It's not a private insurer, it's Uncle Sam. It's only allowed right now to military retirees. Why? Why? It should be allowed for everybody. And my family are healthy. We buy for that. We don't pay for the other kind. So I think that these are practical things. That was why it was written into the Affordable Care Act the first time. The reason it was taken out is, I'll tell you why. You all know why. Private insurers. You said it, sir. Private insurers. So we got to, and this is what goes back to the heart of my candidacy. We have to have people that stand up to these private insurers. Okay? And we can. And we can do it in a way that is doable now for America to get the most people the coverage that is affordable and accessible right now. And that's what I want to work on. Okay? What else? Yeah.
So you've got a really good list of issues that you think are the most highest priority, and I think most of us here would agree that those are really high priority issues. But one of the things that's been lost in the last year is any sort of factual basis for or policy around climate change.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering where you would put down on your list of priorities for the things that we need to be paying attention to. I feel like we're losing the planet and at the same time losing democracy.
It's a great question. The last administration, the Joe Biden administration, made a lot of investments in renewables, and that's where we need to go there. It's not only a moral issue, it's not only an environmental issue, it's a national security issue. And it's a jobs issue. You know who's eating our lunch right now in renewables? China. China is pumping out like 14 million cars or something a year, electric vehicles a year. We're doing less than 1 million. We just lost in Kentucky 2,000 jobs in the Ford plant right down the road, like an hour down the road. We just lost that because this administration, cheered on by our Republican representatives, said, oh yeah, get rid of those renewable incentives with that investment. That's stupid. It kills our jobs, and it's the future. The future's in renewables. It's in electric vehicles. And guess what? It's not just America. We're gonna lose that market to China. You know that the Chinese just made an investment with Canada, a trade pact with Canada to sell them electric vehicles. They're not buying from us, they're buying from them. WTF? and I'm just like, my head explodes. So I guess to get to your point is, yes, it's very important. And we need smart people to be able to stop this stuff. It's like tariffs. It's the dumbest thing on the planet. No economist said we should do this. It's the reason why it hasn't been done since 1920 whatever. Because it's dumb. So, I'm going to be smart. I don't know what to tell you. What else? Hold on, let me just ask if somebody else has a question.
How are you gonna do that if everybody else wants to go along with the current plan and the current administration? What if you're
Well, this is
alone
why
up
we need
there?
to elect more Democrats in the US Senate. This is why we need to flip the House. We gotta get power back, and we gotta have people that enact boldly. And, you know, I think we're at a crisis right now. So, yeah, I can't do it alone, for sure, you know.
Yes. Will you be taking corporate or PAC money in this campaign?
I've never taken corporate PAC money. They don't, you know, I don't expect to do that again. They're not as big a player as you all think. I've done this before, and they're big, but the campaigns, at least on the Democratic side, are run by people. They're paid for by people. And I have to disagree a little bit with my opponent, and he doesn't get a chance to rebut, and I'm sorry about that. Maybe we'll do a debate. But you can't have no money, because you have to get your message out. I love being in front of you all. You're amazing. You are the most engaged voters in the state. But there's a lot of other voters. And many of them are at jobs or can't attend, or they're with their kids and stuff, and you have to be able to get your message out. And the sad reality is not everybody is informed as you are. And so you get those message out on social media, you can get it out with flyers, you can get it out with text messages, you can get it out with commercials, you can get it out with lots of ways, but you gotta get it out. And you don't need $100 million, but you need some resources. And so funding campaigns, if you don't like me, fine. Go find somebody that you like. And if you have the funds, help them. Because it does matter. And the other side knows it. That's why Elon Musk dropped $10 million in this race. That's why Andy Barr, you guys probably don't know this, my husband's a corporate pilot, and he flies a lot. And he flew down to Naples, not Naples, Italy, Naples, Florida, just last week. And he called me up when he got there, a little bit late at night, right before bedtime, and he called me up and said, "You're not gonna believe this. Andy Barr just ran a commercial in Naples." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, he's running fundraising commercials down here." Wow. Because he knows where the donors are, and he needs the money to compete with Elon. It sucks.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, as Democrats, that doesn't mean just because we don't have as much, we can't compete. Look at the race in Texas. You know about the state Senate race in Texas? That was Trump won that district by 17 points. It was flipped by 14 on the other side. Not one, 14 on the other side. And the candidate had hardly any money. That's awesome. And that gives me hope for Kentucky, even when Republicans are always going to have more money. When I ran against Mitch McConnell, I was able to fundraise a lot. But you know what? McConnell always had more. But this year, it may not matter as much. It's still going to matter. Okay, what else? Anybody else?
My question's a follow-up.
Okay. Can I go back there and come back to you?
So the last time that you ran, you faced some criticism, especially from like communities of color, mostly pertaining to like responses in the wake of the killing of, murder of Breonna Taylor. Right now we're watching masked agents in the streets subjecting other communities of colors to the same brutality, which gives you an interesting opportunity to kind of to do that again. So my question is, how do you plan to do things differently, or do you? And more broadly, how do you plan to make sure that you use your position to adequately give voice and support to communities of color as well?
Yeah, it's a fair question. I would say that in 2020, I may not have been front and center of the marches for Black Lives Matter, but I was there. and I'm really proud of that, you know, and so I understand the criticism, but you all should know, I was there. And I was also very vocal when it came to the death of Breonna Taylor to get justice through our justice system. And that's kind of, you know, who I am. I'm somebody that, when we're seeing what's happening with ICE right now, I have been out there before many of these other candidates even got in the race, talking about how this is wrong, how we cannot have Black Hawk helicopters land on top of buildings and have these shock troops in our streets running around. So I've been really vocal on this issue. In terms of the question of what's different, I have learned a lot in this process of Run Before. I do think, you know, nobody's gonna tell me how to be or how to, you know, I've gotten lots of people saying, smile more, smile less. I'm done with that stuff, okay? I'm gonna tell the truth and I'm gonna be who I am. And that's the approach that I have always taken. So I don't know if that answers your question, but in terms of persons of color, I'm somebody that wants to be a voice for everybody, all right? And part of that is listening, and that's what I intend to do, okay? Yeah,
And this will be your last one.
okay.
Coming back to, or continuing on the ICE question, in your pursuit of reigning in ICE, and I say this as a child of immigrants who I've seen my parents personally struggle with the very unnecessarily overcomplicated system of immigration.
Yeah.
One that
Yeah.
continues to make the immigration process very inaccessible to people,
Yeah.
which is a major reason why people fall through the cracks
Yep.
and become undocumented in this country.
Yep.
So, in your
Yep.
pursuit of reigning in ICE, what are you going to do exactly to make sure to close the gaps in the system to
Yeah.
prevent people from having
Yeah.
to be pulled from the streets
Yeah, no,
at all?
yeah, so we're in this crisis because leaders have not done anything on immigration since Ronald Reagan. Three times a bipartisan immigration reform has come, and 3 times it was thrown under the bus by Republicans. So what am I going to do?
Yes, please.
You have to fix this in a bipartisan way. We have done this, okay? We had it. You guys know this. We had this in 2024. The senator from I think Oklahoma, was it just Langford? He was the one that brought this up. It was his bill, along with Democrats, and we had this worked on this. And Donald Trump said, scrap it to his Republicans, because I want to run on this issue. And the Republicans followed him and scrapped the bill, okay? So we got to bring that up again. We already know, we already come into agreement that we have to work with the people that we have here already. We have to secure our borders, and we have to work with the people that we have already to make a path to citizenship for people who are already here. Here's why. We have people who are in our schools right now, young kids, who've been here their whole lives. Been here their whole lives. Now their parents came here maybe 15 years ago and struggled with the system, but these kids are here. So they can't just live in fear the rest of their life. We have to deal with this as a country. So yes, the comprehensive immigration reform is absolutely something, and we have to have people in Washington that not only get it, but also are adults. All right? So, you know, if you're asking specifics, I can go back to that bill and tell you that would be a bill that I would have voted for. Why? Because it was reforming our system.
But it
We
left
have
out
to.
the dreamers.
Well, we have to go back and do that
They
too.
let the dreamers in.
We have to go and fix that part too. Because the dreamers are the folks that I was just talking about. And these are our neighbors. So, yeah, we absolutely, we can't just leave it undone.
So
Okay.
I'm hearing you say a lot, if I may push back a little bit, hearing you say a lot about the historic things that have been done, but I'm not hearing you say what you personally plan to do when you get elected. I hear you say a lot of,
Okay.
we have to get people into office, and I understand, I agree with you there.
Yeah,
Right now, as a voter, you do not have my vote,
okay.
because I'm not hearing you say what exactly.
What am I going to do in office? Repeal what was done to healthcare this past summer with Medicaid. Restore the cuts to Medicaid. Restore the Affordable Care Act subsidies. Stop these stupid tariffs. Enact term limits. End dark money. End gerrymandering. Universal pre-K. I got it all, a whole list of stuff. You can check my website, okay? Democracy reform. Did I say in gerrymandering? Term limits for the Supreme Court. Term limits for Congress. And banning stock trading among. That's a lot of stuff. All right. Totally work on reining in ICE. I have an entire plan for that on my website. You can go check it out. An entire plan that I just came out with. I will do that. So that's where I'm at. I will be as transparent as possible.